So we have a lot of business owners in the audience. Put up your hand if you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, or business owner of some kind. If you look around the room, you're going to see that there's an awful lot of us here. Thank you. You can put your hands down. So I have a question for you. Here's the question. Put up your hand if you or somebody you know is in the market for a tennis instructor. Put up your hand nice and high. If you or somebody you know is in the market for a tennis instructor. Now, if you look around, look around the room, you'll see one hand is up. I've done this with audiences of 1,000 people, and that's pretty much the most hands that have ever gone up in one audience. Thank you. You can put your hand down. Now, there's roughly, 85, maybe 90 people here. So I'm going to guess that at least 20 of you are either in the market for a tennis instructor yourself right now, or you know somebody who is. I'm going to say at least 20. Let me tell you about a guy named Brian. Brian's local, Ottawa guy, has no idea that I ever use him as an example. He came to a networking a session I was doing one day, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, and he was sitting in the class. And he said to me before the class, he said, Steve, I'm going to all the meetings, I'm going to the Chamber of Commerce, I'm going to the BNIs, I'm going to all the meetups, and I'm meeting people, and I'm handing out cards and picking up cards, making the calls. And he said, I'm just not getting the business that I need. And I said, well, Brian, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm a tennis instructor. And we've seen what the market is for tennis instructors. So we helped Brian with 3 fundamental principles about networking and brand positioning, and I'm going to share these with you. You might want to write these down. Here's the first thing. You're going to hear a lot of marketing people and sales people and branding people. They'll talk about differentiation. That's not the word I want you to write down. But they talk about differentiation. Be different. Find a way to stand out. You have to be different from everybody else. Now, if you are different, that's good. There is some truth to that. If you can be different, if you can stand out, that's awesome. But here's the truth for most of us. And this is the part you write down. You don't actually have to be different. You only have to appear to be different. You only have to appear to be different. So it doesn't matter if you're different from everybody else. We have some financial planners in the room. Everybody, most of us know what a financial planner does, right? We have some real estate people in the room. Most of us know what real estate people do. And most of us know what a tennis instructor does. So to us, if you line up 1,000 tennis instructors along the wall back there, we can't really tell the difference. We don't know one from the other. They teach tennis. We take financial planners, put them along the wall, 1,000 of them, same thing. They're all financial planners. They all do the same thing as far as we're concerned. Take all the real estate people, the insurance people, the mortgage people, the network marketers, all the different coaches, trainers, speakers, authors, line them all up against the wall, and the general world goes, I don't know one from the other. So what we need to do is find a way to appear to be different. Find a way to appear to be different from everybody else who does what we do. And here's how you appear to be different. You appear to be different by changing the language that you use. Now, if you have something that's profoundly different, that's terrific. If you have a brand that draws attention, that's terrific. But if you don't, a great way to start is by changing the language that you use. And I'll show you how we do that in a moment. And here's the third principle. The third principle is, it's not enough that they understand your message. They must be able to repeat it. That's why people waste their time and their money with fancy elevator pitches. And I'm not saying the elevator pitch is a bad thing. It's an important thing. But most people get it profoundly wrong, because it's not repeatable. So let me tell you what we did with Brian. If you saw Brian today and asked him what you do, here's what Brian the tennis instructor would say. He would say, you know how sometimes kids have so much energy, they're bouncing off the walls, and the parents have no idea what to do with them? He'd say, well, what I do is I take kids of any age, I bring them on a tennis court, I absolutely exhaust them, and hand them back to their parents. So let me ask you this question. Put up your hand if you know somebody who's in the market for a tennis instructor. Now, if your hand is up, if your hand even started to go up, get it up nice and high like this. Keep it up nice and high. I said 20, didn't I? So let's just see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 just like that. Now, this is just a nice little example, but let me tell you something. That's 22 potential pieces of business that are walking out the front door every time Brian makes himself sound like everybody else. Tennis instructors teach tennis. Brian teaches tennis. He'll teach anybody. He'll teach me, he'll teach you, he teaches anybody. But what he did was he made himself appear to be different by changing the language that he uses. Now here's where it becomes repeatable. What are you going to think of the next time you go to somebody's house and their kids are bouncing off the walls and the parents get so frustrated because they don't know what to do with them? What's going to happen to you? I know, I heard about this guy. This guy, he exhausts your kids or something, hits them with a tennis racket or something, I don't know, but so the message is repeatable. It doesn't have to be repeatable verbatim, but the point is repeatable. So I want to share with you a really important principle if you're in business that goes along with what we're talking about here. Now, all of our speakers that come up here today that are coming up, they're all in some kind of a business. They're all entrepreneurials. They do something in their lives, and speaking and presenting is part of what makes them appear to be different. But this is how it all comes together and why this is so important. This could be the single most important tool in your business. Now, I want to do a bit of an aside here. Let me just check out. Put up your hand if you have seen this before. Okay, if you look around the room, you're going to see a fair amount of hands are up. Thank you. Put your hand down. Let me ask you one more question. Put up your hand if you are actually implementing it. Look around the room. Very tiny percentage of the people who have seen this are actually implementing it. And then we kind of wonder, why am I in the same place as I was last year? Why am I in the same place as I was 3 years ago? Because seeing this a dozen times is fine. If it takes 10,000 times for you to see it, that's fine. But if you see it and then you don't use it, it's an absolute waste of your time. So let me share this with you. If you've seen it before, take notes this time. And make a commitment to yourself. And when you walk out the door, you are going to implement this. Because I have brought this all over the world. And people are changing their lives and business because of this, what I'm about to show you. But first, let's take a break. No, I'm kidding. We're going to take a break. Yeah. This is called your Repu-meter. What do you think your Repu-meter measures? Measures state of your reputation. Now, some people use the Repu-meter concept by accident. Some people focus on it and use it deliberately. And the people who focus on it and use it deliberately are only people who have been to my sessions because I made it up. This is my trademarked model, and I've shown it all over the world, virtually, in person, and it absolutely works. And this is it. The Repu-meter establishes 4 milestones for your personal and business reputation. 4 milestones. And here they are. The first milestone is what I call obscurity. Obscurity means that nobody really knows what you do. They don't really know who you are. And so they're not going to refer anybody to you. They're not likely to buy from you. They don't remember who you are. Brian, the tennis instructor, is anchoring and locking himself in obscurity every single time he says, I'm a tennis instructor. Because he's locking himself into a huge category of many tennis instructors. He's obscure. Because there's nothing that separates him from anybody else who does what he does. You know you're in obscurity if these things are happening to you. If people are not referring you, if phone calls are not coming in from referrals, if you're spending most of your time at networking events, BNI and Chambers of Commerce, connecting with people, and all you seem to be doing is explaining to people again what you do. And you know you've seen this person 3 times before, and they're acting like you've never seen them, and they have no idea what you do. You know you're in obscurity if you're spending all of your time chasing the business. You're trying to get the sales. You're trying to get more customers. You're trying to fill that pipe. You're trying to build the list. You're trying to get the products out there, and you're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and nothing's coming back. That's obscurity. Now, sadly, I know people that I've known for 10 years, and I don't know what they do. And they're in business, and I still don't know what they do. One of the reasons people stay in obscurity is because we keep changing lanes. We keep changing lanes. Now, having multiple lanes in business is fine, but you can't have multiple lanes until you've mastered one. And so many people, every time I see them, they're doing something new, something different. I'm starting this new thing, I'm starting this new thing, starting this new thing. And that's okay, except that you're locking yourself in this obscurity stage. You know, what's Bill doing? I don't know. Last week he was, I don't know, selling vacuum cleaners. This week I think he's a motivational speaker. I'm not sure. That's obscurity. Now the next stage is this. If you get yourself out of obscurity, you start doing some business, people start recognizing you a little bit, you go to some functions and people say, hey, it's good to see you. And maybe they're introducing you. Oh yeah, this is Sylvie, she's a coach. You know, they have some idea. That brings you up to this level here, which I call competitive. Now at the competitive stage, you're in the game. You're in the game. People know who you are, they know what you do. The problem is that there's nothing that separates you from everybody else who does what you do. You're competitive when people say, oh, yeah, she's a financial advisor. Oh, yes, he's a life coach. Yes, she's a tennis instructor. She's a something. He is a something. That's competitive. You're in the game. People know what you do. But there's no reason to refer you to anybody else, ahead of anybody else who does what you do. You're against the wall with the other 1,000 people who do what you do, but everybody knows that you're one of them. You are in, again, a category of many at competitive. This is where most entrepreneurs stay. This is where most businesses stay, where you are one of a category of many. I stayed there for a long, long time. And I got tired of being there. I got tired of this. This is an indicator that you're there. People come and the biggest question you get, or one of the biggest questions you get is, how are you different from? People would ask me, how are you different from Toastmasters? How are you different from Dale Carnegie? How are you different from Christopher Leadership? How are you different from Brendan Burchard? How are you different from? Because they don't know what separates me from everybody else. That is an indicator to me that says, you know what? I look like everybody else who does what I do, or even remotely does something similar to what I do. I know I'm different, but they don't know I'm different. So I started thinking to myself, how can I make myself appear to be different? I just happen to be different because I'm freaking amazing. Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, I get a word for that when you do this and everybody applauds. There must be something about that. But I mean, I look the same as everybody else to the world, right? I look the same. So in my head, I'm thinking, I'm different though. I do this different, I do that different, and I have this. And I can explain why I'm different. Why are people not getting this? Does this happen to you in your business? Yeah, I'm different. If they only knew that I was different. So I thought, I gotta do what we taught Brian to do. I gotta make myself appear to be different by changing the language that I use. So I started changing the language that I use. And part of changing the language that I use is using what I call a model. And we're going to talk about that more today. This is a model. And it's a model that has changed my life, and I'll explain why. So then what happens is this. You start getting some clients, people start understanding, yeah, you're a little bit different than the others. You start getting some good results. People start referring you a little bit more. You're starting to get some calls from people saying, I heard about you from somebody. Maybe people are coming and say, we're having a little meeting in Ottawa. We'd like you to come and be our guest speaker at lunch. Now, we don't have a budget. We're not going to pay you, but you have a good opportunity for exposure. That happens to you. Right? So that means you're at the competitive stage. You're not spending every minute chasing business. You're still spending a lot of your time chasing business. Referrals are trickling in a little bit. You go to a networking meeting and people are saying, oh yeah, there's Carol. She's an author coach, or she's a certified financial planner. You're a something. But then what happens is something really cool. If you stay in the game and you keep the pressure on, this happens. You end up at this level called distinctive. At the distinctive level now, there's something different about you in terms of your competition. People see something a little bit different in you that they don't see in the others, because you've maybe changed your language a little bit. You've changed the way people perceive you. At the distinctive stage, this is a tipping point where something extremely profound happens. At the distinctive stage, you're no longer in a category of many. You're now in a category of a few. But this is what happens. On this side of distinctive, your name is associated with process, which means your name is associated with your title. She's a something or an something. He's a something. N something. A business coach, a financial advisor, a real estate agent, a mortgage broker. But then what happens is, at the distinctive stage, your name starts to become associated less with process and more with one of two things. One is results, and two is experience. And let me explain. I've spent a lot of years studying the science of platform skills and speaking and selling from the stage and all of those things. I've been doing this all of my life. I hit the live stage first time when I was 6 years old playing my little guitar. And I've been on a stage one way or the other ever since. There's not that many people that I know of that have been on a stage as long as I have. I know what works and what doesn't work up here. So I work with speaker clients because this is where I live. I live in the speaker world. And I work with speaker clients, and they come to me and they say, you know, Steve, I want more standing ovations. I want more national attention. I want to sell more books from the stage. I want higher speaking fees. I want more repeat speaking gigs. I say, okay, that's what my audience wants. That's what we'll give them. So I studied and studied and studied and mastered this stage. And not only did I master the stage, there are people who are so much better on the stage than I am. But there's not that many people that are better than me at making you a master on the stage. That's my gift. I'm an okay speaker as far as professional speakers go. But I can take people, this is my gift, I can take people, I can put them on a stage and bring magic out of them they never knew existed. That's my gift, and that's cool, that's fine, that's what separates me. But here's what happens. My clients now get these. If you go to my website, you'll see all these testimonials. You know, I sold $160,000 off the stage in 20 minutes. That's more sales. I got my first standing ovation. I got on Dr. Roz. I got doubled my speaking fees. I got booked in 3 other countries. All of that stuff is on my website because the testimonials are all about results. So now what happens when this starts to happen here is my name starts to become associated with the results that I provide, not my process. I'm no longer a speaking coach. I'm the guy that helps people get massive sales from the stage or more standing ovations or whatever they want. My name becomes associated with results. That's just the way it is. So I noticed this. Here's when I noticed that. I met a lady named Peggy McCall. Some of you know her. I won't tell you the whole story about how we met, but here's what happened. She was speaking at some event, and I walked by because I was at this event to hear her speak. And as I walked by, there's Peggy's against the wall, and somebody's with her, and the lady with Peggy says, "Oh, Steve Lowell is here." And my ears picked up. Oh, I've never heard that before. Why is that a big deal? And Peggy says, "Who is that guy?" And the lady beside her says, "He's the speaking guy." Not a speaker coach. The speaking guy. I thought, that is interesting. Because I want to be known as the something, not a something. So here's what happens. My name starts to get associated with results. Now, not everybody in the room is going to be able to claim outstanding customer results. We'll talk about this later, but there is something else you can work on, and that is the experience that you provide your clients. Look at the experience that my team and I provide here. This is an experience that you have here today, and you're going to leave here talking about the experience. There's no amazing results for you today, but there is an experience, isn't there? So my name starts to become associated with experience. Bob Carskadden is here, my buddy Bob. Where's Bob? Stand up, Bob. Stand up and say hello to Bob. Most of you remember Bob, right? Bob and I had an event we called Your Stage, ran it here for 5.5 years in Ottawa, and our name, yeah, go ahead, give Your Stage a big clap. And Bob and I became known for the experience of Your Stage. Our name becomes attached to the experience. So here's the question, as just before we break, I want you to plant this seed in your mind. Ask yourself this question. Okay? Where are you on this? Here's where you want to be. Here's the 4th milestone, is way over here. Category of 1. Category of 1. You are no longer a person in the business. You are no longer one of the people in the business. You are the person. You are the undisputed champion. You are the only logical choice. Category of 1. I can count on my hand the number of category of 1s I know. There are not many of them, but if you get there, wow. And I'm going to show you how to get there later on today. So here's what I want you to ask yourself. Where are you on this Repumeter? Now, let me just do this question real quick. I'm not going to ask you where you are on the Repumeter. I'm going to ask you this. Put up your hand if you have a pretty good idea where you are on the Repumeter. Thank you. Put your hand down. Here's the next question. Put up your hand if you are exactly where you want to be on the Repumeter. 1 hand. 2. 3. Out of 100 or so people. Most of us aren't. So what are you going to do? Are you going to take what we're talking about today and what we're going to show you this afternoon, you're going to let it walk out the door with you and dissipate, or are you going to actually do something with it?